In this installment, we're going to break down the top stacks and values for week 5. Let's get into it. Hey, yo! Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for your week 5 breakdown on Draftkings. But before I deep dive into that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessNetShetsD. Don't forget about the TikTok at Chef_D91. And don't forget about the Patreon if you want more DFS, betting, and fantasy football help. All of those links will be provided down below. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Before I deep dive into this just a little bit more, do have to make one announcement. I want to give you guys a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That Thursday night football showdown slate video went over 1,000 views. It hit 1.1. That was my first video hitting over 1,000 views. So hopefully, of course, many will come. I appreciate you guys. I like the love and support. Continue to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. I'm gonna continue to bring more content, continue to bring you more analysis, okay? More analysis on football, breaking down these games, and we're gonna get to more winning as well. So we're gonna start off with the stacks for week 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 main stacks. One sneaky one, really I won't mention the sneaky one. I'll talk about some of the players from that particular game because it's an ugly one. It's real ugly. And I was kind of spot on with that. What was it? The Seattle. I gave you guys Seattle and Detroit last week. That was a sneaky lower owned type stack. And that came through with flying colors. Geno Smith, guys. Let's just say Geno Smith. Now, the first stack we're going to start off with will be the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Buffalo Bills. Now, obviously, you want to go with the Josh Allen side. All right, you got Buffalo at home. In a game environment where obviously they want to crush their opponent and they want to get back on the right ship. All right, the first 2 games, outstanding, putting up over 30 points, real points in both of those contests, and then they've struggled the past 2 weeks against Baltimore and Miami. Now Pittsburgh is a defense that you can definitely pass on. You saw what Zach Wilson was able to do last week, moving the ball on the Steelers. He had a little gap between the second and third quarter where he was a little bit up and down, but first and fourth he was rock solid. And now you got to go up against weapons with Josh Allen, his running ability, his throwing ability to Stephon Diggs, and Gabriel Davis. Gabriel Davis has practiced fully Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He is going to be fully healthy for this game. So stop putting dirt on that man's name. So on the quarterback position, we love Josh Allen this week. You can, if you want to get cute, that's up to you. If you want to get cute, we're going to see a passing volume from Kenny Pickett where he's going to have to keep pace with the Buffalo Bills, and he has the weapons to do so. So definitely love the get backs in your Buffalo stacks, but if you want to switch it around, go with a Kenny Pickett stack and match it with Deontay or George Pickens, then fine by me. Okay, if you want to get a little bit different there. He's 5,100 and you can pay up at other positions. So like both quarterbacks in this particular game, Kenny Pickett has a tougher matchup because of Buffalo's defense, but you are saving salary, and they should be putting up some points in this game because Buffalo is probably going to get a big. Pittsburgh is going to have to fight back. All right. In this game environment, we need Najee Harris. If you're going this way, we need him to get receptions. Okay. You cannot rely on him rushing wise this week against this particular defense in Buffalo. We need more receptions, as you saw in week 3, week 2, and week 1. It was a totally different story in week 4. No receptions recorded at all. I think that definitely changes this week because they're going to need to utilize one of the best players on this offense to keep everything's regulated for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. All right. Just can't be one-dimensional. Gonna have to use Najee Harris. Najee Harris is gonna have to get open in those passing lanes. All right. Singletary is going to be a better play for me over Najee Harris because of the in-game environment, because of the snaps he's getting, and because it's the Pittsburgh defense compared to Buffalo's defense. So Singletary has stepped up these past 2 weeks in week 3 and week 4. 24 fantasy points in week 3, and then everyone thought that was a fluke. No, it wasn't. He got 4 receptions out of 5 targets, 47 yards. They trust Devin Singletary. Even with the fumble, they trust Devin Singletary way more than Zach Moss and James Cook. They're doing the same thing as they did in that stretch run leading up to the playoffs, and in the playoffs, they relied on their most trusted running back, and that is Devin Singletary, and that's rolled over to this season. So 6,100 Devin Singletary is in a solid matchup. Now, we're going to have to pair Josh Allen with his top two wide receivers. It's going to get expensive if you have both of these guys. You might have to choose one or the other. But it would be good if you have both of them with Josh Allen, because there's all these injuries on the Buffalo Bills offense. So Stephon Diggs, obviously the number one wide receiver, only had one breakout game so far this year. One huge breakout game and one very normal breakout games with the 29 fantasy points and then 47 from Stephon Diggs in week 2. So we're looking for another big breakout game. It's probably going to happen in this particular one because they're back home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who allowed some big plays to happen against the Jets, which was very concerning from them. But obviously, they do not have TJ Watt right now. So Stephon Diggs, 8,400. Love him. And then Gabriel Davis. We've been waiting, all right? A lot of people are throwing dirt on his name. It's because he hasn't been 100% healthy, all right? He played through his injuries in week 3 and week 4, being a good teammate. He had 94% of the routes, of the snaps in week 4, and now it's because Jake Kumerow was out. Jake Kumerow is out yet again, so Gabe Davis, with a full stretch of full practices this past week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, he is coming in. He should be 100% healthy, and I'm expecting a huge game from Gabriel Davis. He's going to be one of the main key guys that you're going to throw in your lineups at a nice middle price at 6,400. You don't got to break the bank. You don't have to go up to the 8,000 range. You can go to Gabe Davis, who should have some big upside in this matchup. All right. Waiting on news for Isaiah McKenzie. He's going to be very key in the slot game. Currently questionable. He's most likely going to play because he was limited in practice Thursday and Friday. So he's trending towards playing in this game on Sunday. And he's had 3 touchdowns out of the first 4 weeks. So definitely monitor the news on him as well at $5,000 salary. Someone that can get you in the end zone. He's going to get a ton of targets because he is the slot wide receiver in this offense. And with the injuries, okay, there's no Jamison Crowder. So no splitting routes there. No Jake Kumerow. So the 2 main wide receivers are going to be out for the Buffalo Bills. And they're going to have to lean on the rookie and Khalil Shakur. That's why I'm focusing on the main 3 guys for Buffalo. All right. If we want to bring it back on the Pittsburgh side, love Deontay Johnson. He is still the number 1 wide receiver. Pickens is on his heels, though. Pickens is definitely on his heels. We saw a big usage towards Pickens once Kenny Pickett came in, but definitely Deontay Johnson is still the number 1 as of right now. Double-digit fantasy points 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Struggled against the Jets with Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed coverage. We will see about this matchup this week. They're going to have to keep up pace, all right? So definitely I see no problems with receptions, targets, and yards for Deontay Johnson. I like him at 6,100. And I have no problem going down to the other wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's George Pickens. Had a big breakout game. We saw 7 targets in week 3, but that was Trubisky. Kenny Pickett can actually get the ball down the field to his wide receivers. Then we saw a bump with 6 receptions, 8 targets, 102 yards, 19 fantasy points for this dynamic wide receiver in George Pickens. Very, very happy for him. That he's got someone that can give him the ball. This man is a very, very dangerous wide receiver. I love him. He's going to be a very sneaky guy to put in your lineups this particular week. He's going to be he's not even sneaky. He's not sneaky now. Everyone wants to see him succeed. He's going to be highly owned. I'm telling you right now, he's probably going to be highly owned at 4,300 in the game, where they're going to have to keep up pace. So if we're looking at the tight ends, no Dawson Knox, so I wouldn't really go to another tight end for Buffalo. I don't need to get cute there, but that out of Dawson Knox is only going to help Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Isaiah McKenzie, okay? They're really focused on their main guys in Buffalo. Obviously, they can spread the ball around, but with all these injuries, we got 3 big injuries for Buffalo, all right? Pat Freiermuth is going to be a tight end that we can have salary saver at 4,100 because Trubisky was not throwing the ball in the middle of the field. He would stay to the outside numbers. Kenny Pickett doesn't do that. He throws in the middle of the field. He is not scared. He has the arm to do so. So 7 receptions, 9 targets, 85 yards. We saw a big increase in usage once Kenny Pickett came in, and obviously he had a great game with 15.5 fantasy points. All right, so let's now move on to the next stack. All right, let's clear this out and let's move over to our next stack, and that will be the division matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. This would have been a better matchup if Tua Tagovailoa was healthy. Obviously, the mismanagement and the doctors on the Miami Dolphins squad let everyone down in this one. They did not properly diagnose Tua Tagovailoa, and now they're in this situation here where they're gonna have to start Teddy Bridgewater. And it's just a lot of Jet hate, maybe because I'm a Jets fan and there's a little bit of bias, but they're just on all over the Miami side. Oh, Teddy Bridgewater's coming in. Oh, he's on a revenge tour. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Clearly, the best matchup on the board is the Jets offense going up against the Miami Dolphins defense. All these injuries that they have on that defensive side of the ball right now, they look hampered, and the weapons on the Jets side should overwhelm the defense on the Miami defensive side. Okay, obviously Xavier Howard is questionable right now. He did not practice Thursday. He did not practice Wednesday. He barely got into limited practice with a hamstring and groin injury. He's going to be super questionable going up against Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, and even Corey Davis. All right, there's going to be a big problem. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to QBs, let's just be realistic here. The Miami Dolphins are 30th, guys. Oh my God, 300. They're giving up 300 plus yards to quarterbacks and 2 touchdowns a game. This should be a great matchup for Zach Wilson. Do not, please, you don't be building Teddy Bridgewater stacks. All right, you want upside? You're just scared of Zach Wilson. That's the problem. No, you don't know what to expect. Guess what? Zach Wilson is going to be good. They put weapons around him. He has a running game. Breece Hall looks amazing. And look at the matchup. 30th ranked points allowed to QBs. 300 yards, 2 TDs. Okay? 30th. This is a great matchup. We have questionable usage on Xavier Howard, the number 1 corner. The other nickelback corner in Crossan, he's barely very limited. He just got into practice on Friday. These guys are hampered, and it is looking bad for them this particular week. So we're going to build stacks with Zach Wilson. That's why you see that 32nd rank. Let's go back. That's why you see that 32nd rank right here. Opponent rank 32nd, just because Miami Dolphins defense is horrible. All right. We're building Zach Wilson sacks. We're bringing that down with Breece Hall. Breece Hall is going to get cooking first, and then that's going to open things up for the passing game for the New York Jets, all right? So we got Zach Wilson, we got Breece Hall, and now who do you want to pair it with for the Jets side? Obviously, I'm loving all 3 of these guys. Elijah Moore is the dude that runs the most routes. He looked great in that first half. Majority of his targets happened in that first half. 2 great long passes to him. That's why he had those 50. He had that long of 28 yards. That was in the first half. Elijah Moore is someone we can look at a nice salary of $5,000. Garrett Wilson would be my no. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. Corey Davis is gonna be my second option at wide receiver for the New York Jets. He has a rapport with both Flacco and Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, obviously, and Corey Davis. This was their first wide receiver to help restart the New York Jets a couple years ago. So they have a nice rapport right now. And then Garrett Wilson would be the third option at $5,200. Super explosive. Right now, he is the number 3 wide receiver, but he has a ton of upside in this offense. So I love all 3 of these guys. I would first go to Elijah Moore. I like Corey Davis as number 2, and then number 3 would be Garrett Wilson in my choice. Now, let's bring it back with the Dolphins, okay? So, right now, there's a big Q tag on Tyreek Hill more than Jalen Waddle, right? Mike McDaniel just came out, and there was the Friday practice where he was super limited, kind of had to leave, and now they're not 100% sure if he's going to play on Sunday. All right. So right now, the person closest to playing in the wide receiver core is going to be Jalen Waddle at 6,700. Now, you do get a QB downgrade to Teddy Bridgewater, but the way that they run this offense for Miami is going to be a lot of short routes, getting their guys open in open fields, and then they can create from there. So 6,700 Jalen Waddle, I have no problem with him, and I have no problem with Tyreek Hill, but you have to wait on news for him, okay? You have to wait on news. It's going to come right before, hopefully we get it around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. before Tyreek Hill, and then we can be clear cut on if we're going to play him or not. So I have no problem going with Tyreek. Just wait on news from here. Other than that, I don't want to go too far anywhere else in the wide receiver zone. But the tight ends, I want to Mike Gesicki. If Tyreek Hill is out, then I would lean on more Mike Gesicki and then more Trent Sherfield. All right. If Tyreek Hill is out, then you can look to Trent Sherfield and you can look to Mike Gesicki. Okay, that's if Tyreek Hill is out. Other than that, the only other tight end you could play is because of usage. Right now, he's a top 10 tight end. Look at these numbers that you're seeing right here. Tyler Conklin, 7 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets, 5 targets the last 4 weeks. He has 3 double-digit fantasy football performances and at a salary of $3,700. So he is at a very nice, cheap price. Now, with this Jets and Miami stack, I'm leaning more to the Jets side. I like their weapons more going up against the hampered defense in Miami, all right? So definitely, I think this is a solid stack. Bring it back with a couple Miami guys, but wait on news for Tyreek Hill. All right, stack number 3 for Week 5. We're going to be looking at this matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Arizona Cardinals. We have a little revenge matchup here with Zach Ertz coming back. No, it's going to be in Arizona with Zach Ertz going against his former team in the Philadelphia Eagles here. This is a very good matchup. All right, I'm hoping that it's not like Philly gets up big and then Arizona has to be forced to come back. How about, can we get a little back and forth? Okay, Arizona, you can't always get down big and then that's where your fantasy points come from in the fourth quarter. I want a full 4 quarters of production. That's what we want. That'll be an awesome stack. So we can go both ways in this, all right? We got 2 highly capable and highly talented quarterbacks here in Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray. Both have the same ability to throw and rush. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is just looking absolutely phenomenal right now. And he finally had a poor performance against Jacksonville, only 16.9 fantasy points, okay? So I do love him bouncing back in this game against Arizona's defense. If we're looking at what they allowed opposing quarterbacks, Arizona is 18th. So cleaning up just a little bit. They're still giving up 2 passing TDs to quarterbacks and around 264 yards of passing, all right? Now, the Eagles' defense is solid, okay? But Kyler Murray has faced good defenses all year long. We're talking about the Rams. Carolina is a solid defense. They just can't score for their defense, which is a problem. Raiders are poor, and then KC's okay. We saw what they did against Tampa Bay. They played very well and very motivated in that game. But Kyler Murray, it doesn't matter because he creates things, all right? He does off-script plays, okay? You can't game plan for Kyler Murray because he's doing stuff that you never seen before. Now, off-schedule throws, off-script passes, Kyler Murray's bringing that next level to the game, and he's going to bring a high amount of fantasy points. He definitely should get you over 20 fantasy points. That is going to be his low, all right? Poor performance in week 3, but other than that, we're getting the usual 20, 26, 23 from Kyler Murray. So you can go both ways. If you want to save a little salary, I have no problem going with Kyler Murray at $700 cheaper in price. Now, the matchup with the running backs here between Miles Sanders going up against Arizona's defense, got to watch out for that because they have been playing solid run defense. Let's just double check what fantasy points allowed to running backs going up against Arizona. I'm going to flip that around. Arizona should be pretty low here. Arizona is 22nd, 4.5 yards a carry. So this is still should be a solid matchup here. We're gonna have to be utilizing obviously Jalen Hurts and his rushing ability, and then Miles Sanders as well. Big breakout game against Jacksonville. So that's a little key factor for who I'm gonna get to a little bit later. Are we getting something? Yeah, we definitely got to get to him a little bit later. So Miles Sanders at 6,500. I have no problem going with him at that salary. I don't expect him to have 32 fantasy points, but he should put forth a solid day. All right, he's not one of my favorite running backs, but definitely you can consider him in a game stack. James Conner has yet to put forth a full effort, and that's because this team has been put in situations where they're down big and they have to fight back, but he's getting full usage. All right, so I think I like James Conner more in this game. I'm seeing rushing upside here, and I'm seeing receptions, consistent receptions. We have 6, 4, 5, and 3 in the first 4 weeks. As long as he doesn't get hurt, we're fine. And James Conner, I think I can go with him over Miles Sanders in this particular game. Save a little bit of salary. He's going to get you double-digit fantasy points, all right? Now, the juiciness of this matchup in Philadelphia and Arizona is going to be with the pass catchers, all right? We have A.J. Brown going up against Arizona. I don't care about the matchup. A.J. Brown is an elite top-tier wide receiver. It doesn't matter, all right? We're waiting for another performance like he did against Week 1 against Detroit. He hasn't put that forth yet. This can happen in this particular game. Jalen Hurts gets connected with A.J. Brown. He can take one slant, take it to the house. This is a great matchup for A.J. Brown at 7,500. Maybe get things back on track. All right. Maybe we might see a game with Brown and Devonta Smith eating at the same time. That hasn't really coincided. So seeing which one is going to be the beneficiary is going to be very, very interesting. The only guy that's been pretty solid in the middle and hasn't been this inconsistent is Dallas Goedert, so I like him more as a number 2 option. And then I will probably bump down Devonta Smith as a number 3 because he's really, really super, super hot and cold. As you can see, 0 in Week 1. He had 15 in Week 2, then had 33 in Week 3, and then went back down to 4 in Week 4. So this one is more of a rolling the dice of a Devonta Smith. Definitely beware of that. And on the pass catching side for Arizona, they're going up against 2 top tier corners in James Bradbury and Darius Slay. So you might want to temper your expectations on Marquise Brown. They're going to probably have to spread this ball around just a little bit more, work the middle. So guys like Rondale Moore could come more into fruition here, working in the slot. Marquise Brown, definitely do have to mention him because of the targets. He's had 39 targets in the last 3 weeks. That is outstanding, all right? Maybe he doesn't get there yardage-wise, but he's getting a ton of receptions. And we're going to have to take advantage of that. This is PPR scoring here. So Marquise Brown, 7,200. I do like. I did speak about Rondale Moore. Currently questionable. He should be able to play. He's going to be coming down to a game-time decision. So if he's out, then we can definitely lean on Greg Dortch. They're going to have to work the middle against Philadelphia. Avoid those top-tier corners. And the other guy that they're going to utilize in the middle for the Arizona Cardinals will be Zach Ertz, the former Philadelphia Eagle, and he knows this team. He knows their weaknesses. And look at Mr. Consistency here. He bleached his hair. I'm loving it. And we got double-digit fantasy points in each of the first 4 weeks. This is a very solid play here, okay? Hopefully he can get us in the end zone against his former team. That'll be icing on the cake. But Zach Ertz at 4,800 is a smash play, all right? Same thing goes for Dallas Goedert. Like I said, I like him more as a number 2 option. Look at the consistency. Week 2, 13 fantasy points. Week 3, 11 fantasy points. And Week 4, 12 fantasy points. So definitely my second favorite option pass catching wise on the Philadelphia side. If I'm bringing it back, I want to work the middle. So we're looking at Dortch or Rondale Moore. Depends if Rondale Moore is out, and if not him, we're going with Zach Ertz, one of the favorite target getters for this Arizona Cardinals offense, all right? And that would be the stack for this particular game. Let's move on to the next. The next stack. This one could be intriguing. We've been waiting. No, we haven't been waiting. This man stepped up last week, but now this is a different scenario here. We got Tom Brady. in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against Atlanta Falcons. This could be a motivational spot here with all the news that he's getting divorced to Giselle. He could take out his frustrations on this particular game here. And we're going to rock a Tom Brady stack, all right? 29 fantasy points last week against KC. That was a spanking. I think he wants to get things correctly back in order. They have their healthy wide receivers back. And Tom Brady is going to be my play at QB, all right? Definitely. I think he gets things 100% back in order. And I'm liking the matchup against the poor defense in Atlanta Falcons. I'm not looking at Marcus Mariota, all right? Just want to let you know on that. So Tom Brady we're going with at the QB position. The running backs. The running backs are going to be very interesting. Obviously, we like Leonard Fournette in this matchup. He's been splitting carries now with Rachaad White. They've been saving Fournette just a little bit. They need to utilize him more later in the year. And plus, this game was a blowout, so they needed more pass-catching ability. Rachaad White provided that, as well as did Leonard Fournette. He got you there with 7 receptions, 7 targets, 57 yards, and a touchdown. So, in good and bad game scripts, Leonard Fournette is going to be someone that you can rely upon. So I do like him in this in particular build. If we're looking at the Atlanta side, they have a ton of injuries, but now they got their rookie running back here with Cordarrelle Patterson out. Tyler Algier is now the number 1 running back. He had a great game last week where he had 10 for 84, one big run for 42 yards. You saw the explosiveness in that run. People want to question if it was a hold or not. Look, man, stop putting dirt. Why? Come on, guys. Come on. You're that much of a hater? Let Tyler Algier eat, okay? Obviously, the only bright spot right now for this Atlanta Falcons offense is that offensive line. They've been opening holes for Cordarrelle Patterson. They've been opening holes for Tyler Algier. They've been opening holes for Caleb Huntley. Just let the man eat, all right? Cordarrelle Patterson is out. We're going to play Tyler Algier as a punt play at 4,700. He's the pass-catching back in this offense, okay? Now, no Kyle Pitts as well. They're going to be dumping the ball off to their wide receivers in quick passes and to their running backs. That's what's going to happen in this particular game. Marcus Mariota is probably going to be under duress. He needs to get the ball out quickly. Maybe we might even see some Desmond Ridder. But in any case or scenario, if they struggle against this top-tier run defense, they're going to be dumping the ball off to the tight ends, to the running backs, and to the hot routes to the wide receivers, okay? Tyler Algier is a like at 4,700. Now, wide receivers, we have Mike Evans, we have Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin looks 100% healthy now. We saw 7 receptions, 10 targets, 59 yards. He is a very lockable player to have this week. He's going to be one of my faves this week for week 5. Let me write that down. Chris Godwin at 5,900, a great price. We know the upside that he can give you 20 plus type of fantasy performances here. I'm having him over Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been eating all year. He's averaging well over 20 fantasy points a game. He had a great game last week against KC with 2 touchdowns, 8 receptions, 103 yards. With Mike Evans and Chris Godwin back, Tom Brady should be happy, all right? Tom Brady should be whole, and this offense is going to take it to a whole nother level, okay? Now, if you want to bring it back with someone, we're going to have to look at Drake London, all right? Drake London with Kyle Pitts out. Hopefully he doesn't struggle in this in particular matchup, because they utilize Kyle Pitts to open things up for Drake London. So now we're going to see how he looks without Kyle Pitts. Hopefully he gets a ton of targets, has a huge day. He's looked outstanding so far this year. And Marcus Mariota pretty much only has had eyes for him. So Drake London I like in a bring back. If you want to get even cheaper at wide receiver, guys I would consider would be Russell Gage. And if it's on the Atlanta side, Alamedeus Zaccheaus. I don't know how to say his name. Alamedeus Zaccheaus, all right? That's how far we would go if you need to get to someone cheap on the Atlanta side. But other than that, I love Chris Godwin, love Mike Evans. Bring it back with Drake London, all right? Tight ends wise, no Kyle Pitts, no Cameron Brate. It is pretty ugly down here. They've been splitting usage with Kyle Rudolph and Cade Otton right here. So if I had to choose one, I would choose Cade. Cade has more upside. He's the rookie on this offense right now. I would have to choose him, but we can stay away from that. Just definitely have to just notify you guys. So in this particular stack, it's pretty clear cut. We're going Tom Brady, Godwin, Evans. I like Algier on the other side for Atlanta, and I like Drake London on the other side as well for Atlanta, right? So this should be a very simple stack to build, and then find some other value in other particular games to add into this one, all right? Our fifth stack, last but not least here, will be the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Cleveland Browns. Now this one, it might be another one-sided type of matchup, but Cleveland kind of plays to their opponent, and with this type of matchup, Chargers, I expect them to be up, and Cleveland's going to have to keep up pace. So Justin Herbert should have one of his top tier performances so far this year. He has yet to get to that 30 fantasy football point range. He's been to 27, 23, and 24, 3 out of the first 4 games. So he's been solid. I want the next level, and that can definitely happen in this one, even with Keenan Allen out. So we love Justin Herbert in this game. I wouldn't get cute and go with Jacoby Brissett and go with him. So we're going to move over to the running backs. Now, could be a game scenario where it's either Cleveland can control with their running game before they get down big, or it forces Nick Chubb out of this type of game environment and forces in Kareem Hunt. So it can play out 2 ways. This could be a Kareem Hunt game where Chargers are up, Browns need to come back. They need to utilize their best pass catching back, and that is Kareem Hunt at $6,000 salary. So it's up to you to flip the coin on which guy. In this one, I would lean on more Kareem Hunt over Nick Chubb, despite the fact that Nick Chubb has looked outstanding. He is clearly the best running back in football right now between him and Saquon Barkley. Just pure running. Nick Chubb on this offense is out of this world, all right? Every year in and year out, he's well over 5 yards a carry. It doesn't matter. Now, Nick Chubb, super talented. It's going to be hard to fade him. But like I'm thinking in this matchup, how things break out, it could just be a Kareem Hunt game where they need to utilize his pass catching ability. So in this one, I will mention both, but I would lean Kareem Hunt over Nick Chubb in this one, okay? If we're bringing it back, obviously Austin Eckler is a solid option, okay? With Keenan Allen out, this only is going to increase receptions to 3 guys. Okay? We get a bump of receptions to Austin Eckler. Obviously, as you can see, look at these targets. 10 targets in week 2, 8 in week 3, 7 in week 4. Love the upside there, okay? Hopefully we can get in the end zone so you can have a big 20-point fantasy type of production. He happened to have 3 touchdowns last week. He really broke out last week. But Austin Eckler is a love at 7,800. Now, let's go over to the wide receivers. With no Keenan Allen, there's another bump to our boy Mike Williams. Can we get back-to-back games? Of solid production? He's gone bad, great, bad, great. Now, if you want to follow that structure, this will be a bad game, but I don't believe so against Cleveland. He has the size and ability and capabilities in the red zone to come down with touchdowns. And in this game environment, Justin Herbert is going to be locked in on his number 1 wide receiver, and that is Mike Williams, all right? Mike Williams is an elite talent. That's why he got paid this money this offseason, and I expect him to have a huge game going up against the Cleveland Browns. I love him at 7,100. Other guys we can look at. On the Chargers side, we got Josh Palmer, who's someone that we can focus in on. Poor performance last week. Only 1 reception, 1 target, 25 yards. Definitely have to notify about him. Currently questionable. Need to learn more news right before game time. Okay, they're playing early this week, so you'll know more about Josh Palmer. If he is out, then that means more for DeAndre Carter. We saw 3 targets, 2 receptions last week. He's been more of the slot guy in this offense. And really the main 2 guys in this offense, once Keenan Allen is out, has been Mike Williams, who we just spoke about, and number 2 is Gerald Everett. This is the guy that's been super consistent each and every week. besides the Jacksonville game, okay? We saw double-digit fantasy points 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Tight ends have been coming up very solidly this year, okay? So with Keenan Allen yet again, it's going to be a focus on Mike Williams and a focus on Gerald Everett here. 5 for 6 for 61 with 1 touchdown. I expect him to have another solid performance this week. All right, now let's find some get backs on the Cleveland Browns side. We have Amari Cooper here at $6,000 salary. I expect a bounce back game from him. He had great games against the Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Poor performance against AJ Terrell. Now he's going up against the Chargers, who have struggled against a lot of offenses, all right? They've struggled against Jacksonville, struggled against Houston. They almost let them come back. They should have lost that game. So very, very questionable play from the Chargers defense. So I like Amari Cooper at $6,000 to bring back. And if I'm choosing anyone else, it would be Donovan Peoples-Jones here from the wide receiver position. He's had 2 kind of like breakout games where 11 targets in week 1, 9 targets, 5 catches in week 4. And then their main guy that we're going to look at is David Njoku. He is finally breaking out. This man is best comparable to Travis Kelce, and there's a reason why. He has the size, he has the speed, and all the metrics, all right? Super athletic tight end and David Njoku, and he's getting top tier targets. Look at the last 2 weeks, 9 for 10. 89 yards in the touchdown against Atlanta, 5 for 73 as well. They're using him in screens. They're being super creative with David Njoku. And I told you this, guys, in previous videos on all the fantasy football videos I gave you. Please draft David Njoku. I begged you to draft David Njoku. This offense in Cleveland throws to the tight end at a 30% clip. That's top 3 in the league. Of course, David Njoku was going to pop off. So I love him at 3,800 as well. So in this stack, Herbert, I love. Mike Williams, bring it back with. Gerald Everett is a solid number 2 in the offense. And then we're going to bring it back on the Cleveland side. We love Amari Cooper and we love David Njoku. All right. Now that will be that stack. And then we're going to get into the values at each and every position before we get out of here. All right, let's move on to the values at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end before we get out. Clear this up. I'm going to move to all games. And we're going to start at the QB position. One guy you need to look at that's going to be a salary saver. Ugly play, but definitely do have to mention it, is Bailey Zappi. This is Detroit Lions defense. Every week, the quarterback going up against the Detroit Lions has went off. Detroit games are going well over 60 points each game. Real points, over 60. So there's upside here in playing Bailey Zappi. This would have been my last stack, doing a New England Patriots stack, which is ugly, but can win you $1 million. It absolutely has the possibility to. A lot of people are just going to be like, it's Bailey Zappi. He's a nobody. He got lucky against Green Bay. He did what he did. Great performance, 10 out of 15, 99 yards and a touchdown against the Green Bay Packers defense in Lambeau. Now he's going up against a cupcake defense in the Detroit Lions. This could be something super sneaky here. All right, so I like him as a QB at 5,100. The next QB we can look at will be Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence should be in a bounce back position at 5,600 going against Houston. He had a poor performance against the Philadelphia Eagles, but that is understandable because of their front 7, their front everything. That Philadelphia Eagles team defense is top tier in the league. All right, and that's why we saw 10 fantasy points. But against Houston, this should be an easier matchup. For Trevor Lawrence, he's going to get Christian Kirk back healthy. He's getting Zay Jones back, and he should be fine. And we should see a breakout performance from Trevor Lawrence in week 5. All right, let's move over to the QBs. To the running backs, and we have the first one here in Damian Harris. Damian Harris here is going to be the TD getter, the goal line back for the New England Patriots. I expect him to have a big breakout game. Hopefully we can get 20 fantasy points. Hopefully we can get a 4th touchdown in 4 weeks. As you can see, he had a touchdown against Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Green Bay. This is the best matchup he's had all year, going up against the Detroit Lions. And this is a great matchup. As you can see, rushing defense, 30th ranked is the Detroit Lions. So Damian Harris, and that means for Ramondre Stevenson as well at 5,500, saving a little bit of salary. They're getting a pretty equal amount, but the upside with Stevenson is that he's getting the reception. So that's even better. As you can see, 5 targets, 4 receptions week 4, 5 targets, 4 receptions in week 3. Consistency there, double-digit rushing attempts. This is a very great play, salary saver at 5,500. Love Ramondre Stevenson, all right? Other running backs we can look at will be the running backs on Jacksonville with James Robinson and Travis Etienne. If I had to choose one of these guys, I'm going more to Travis Etienne. I get what James Robinson has done in the first couple weeks. Travis Etienne is getting acclimated. He's the better pass catcher in this offense. He has a rapport with Trevor Lawrence from college. Just be patient on Etienne. This can be a game environment where he can finally break out as well. This is a great matchup against the Houston Texans. The guy who's most talented is Travis Etienne, so I would lean more to him at 5,100. I'm not paying up 6,300 for someone that's splitting carries. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that, especially if I think Travis Etienne is better. All right. Other running backs we can look towards too. Hopefully we get more news on Kamara. I want to clear up his little Q tag, but this is his best matchup that he's had all year. He's yet to get double-digit fantasy points. It's an ugly play, but this guy is super talented, and you're getting $1,000 in relief in salary. Okay, at 6,600, you get a top 10 running back in Alvin Kamara. He's yet to put things together, but this is the best matchup. If you want to put your flag on him, you're going to put your flag on him this week. So 6,600, Alvin Kamara. And then we have the 2 running backs in Chicago with a great matchup against Minnesota with David Montgomery here at 6,200. But Khalil Herbert has been playing outstanding. He's going to be splitting carries with David Montgomery. He's right behind him, and he is healthy. So I think he's been more productive as we can see in each and every week. 5 yards a carry, 9.5 yards a carry, 7.9 yards a carry, and 4.1. All right, he's getting receptions as well. I'm going to lean more to Khalil Herbert if you're looking for another cheaper than $6,000 running back. I like him over David Montgomery in this great matchup going up against the Minnesota Vikings and this highly run-centric offense for Chicago. Okay, so I like him there, and that will be the running backs. Let's go over to the wide receivers that we're going to look out for value. That would be Christian Kirk for Jacksonville. Like I said, I think Trevor Lawrence bounces back in this game, and he's going to get it to his number 1 wide receiver here, and Christian Kirk, a.k.a. Namor. 9 targets, and then 12 in week 1. So nearly double-digit fantasy targets in each and every week. And he has a perfect matchup going up against Houston and Derek Stingley. All right, he can take advantage of their rookie cornerback here. Christian Kirk is a killer out of the slot, and he can stretch the field. All right, so I love his upside at 6,600. Next guy we're going to look at will be Chris Olave, rookie Chris Olave for the New Orleans Saints. With no Michael Thomas, he steps up as the number 1 wide receiver. Jarvis Landry is currently questionable as well at 5,700. We saw him perform last week in London, 4 for 67 for a touchdown. So at $5,000 in salary, definitely utilize him before he goes to that 6K range, which he's definitely going to in this offense, especially as the number 1 wide receiver now with no Michael Thomas. So definitely love Chris Olave as a value play at wide receiver. All right. Next guy would be Robert Woods for Tennessee. Treylon Burks is going to be out in this game. Washington's defense has looked poor. Washington on both sides has looked poor, right? Carson Wentz can't run an offense, and their defense has been getting gashed. Robert Woods is now the number 1 wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. He's going to guarantee you double-digit fantasy points. The question mark is, will he get in the end zone at 5,200? I have no problem going to that. And if it was around that 6,500, then that's when it comes into question, all right? But right now at 5,200, we see upside. We're going to see usage. I like Robert Woods at that price, all right? Anyone else before we move on to tight ends? I do have to mention Josh Reynolds. right here with the Q tag. If Amon-Ra St. Brown is out, we can go back to him because since Amon-Ra has been out, he's received 18 targets, a touchdown, and almost 177 yards. Okay, that's with Amon-Ra out. So if Amon-Ra is out, you can go to Josh Reynolds. All right. Let's move over to tight ends, and then we can wrap things up for week 5. The first guy we're going to look at would be TJ Hawkinson here. TJ Hawkinson. This is also a key component if Amon-Ra is out. He's currently questionable. But right now, DJ Shark is out. So TJ Hawkinson should be fine. He went totally nuclear against Seattle, 8 for 12 for 179 and 2 touchdowns. I don't expect that type of performance, but I do expect him to do double digits, hopefully get you 15 and maybe 20 fantasy points in this matchup going up against New England. So definitely watch out news on Amon-Ra. If Amon-Ra is out, he gets a bump as well at 4,900. And on the other side of the ball, Hunter Henry becomes a factor for New England because there is no Jonnu Smith. All right, with Jonnu Smith hampered, we're gonna not split the touches with Hunter Henry. He's gonna get the full workload. We should see 5, 6, 7 targets to Hunter Henry. He was a touchdown getter last year, and that can definitely change things this week going up against the poor Detroit Lions defense. All right, so those will be the value plays for this week, for week 5. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessengerSD, and I'll be back with another video very soon. All right, peace out, guys.